You don't just build a fighter jet like the F-47. You forge it, piece by piece, from the bleeding edge of science, from equations that didn't exist 10 years ago, from materials never tested in combat, and AI systems that think faster than any human brain ever could. The F-47 isn't the future. It's the warning that the future has already arrived. And for every adversary watching, every satellite in low Earth orbit, every radar station buried inside a mountain, every analyst hunched over a grainy image, the message is clear. The game has changed. Because this is not another iteration of the F-22 or the F-35. It's not Stealth 2.0. It's not just faster, smarter, or harder to hit. It is something else entirely. A fighter that doesn't fight alone. A cockpit that acts more like a brainstem. Controlling over 1,000 unmanned combat units across the sky. Drones with claws. Drones with teeth. Drones that swarm, scout, jam, and strike. It's not a dogfight anymore. It's an ecosystem. And the F-47 is its apex predator. It starts with plasma stealth. Technology whispered about for decades, but never fully operationalized. Until now, this isn't radar absorption. It's radar manipulation. It bends electromagnetic signatures, blinds heat-seeking sensors, fools infrared. When this bird takes off, it doesn't vanish. It never shows up in the first place. And even if it did, good luck catching it. Adaptive thrust vector engines can shift performance mid-mission. Mach 2.5 isn't a burst, it's a cruise. These engines don't just roar, they think. They adjust airflow, fuel ratios, heat profiles, all in real time. A fighter this fast, this invisible, operating at this range. It's not just an aircraft, it's a deep penetration scalpel. A precision ghost in a world built to fight with hammers. And its pilot? Not just a pilot, a commander, a conductor, directing a symphony of autonomous machines. Because the rail revolution isn't in speed or stealth. It's in autonomy. One F-47 in contested airspace doesn't mean one threat. It means thousands. AI-driven drones, each capable of making combat decisions without waiting for a signal from home. They scout, suppress air defenses, engage hostile aircraft, jam communications, even self-destruct in coordinated strikes. Each drone learns, evolves, shares data in real time. The more they operate, the smarter they get. And the F-47 sits at the center, not micromanaging, but orchestrating, issuing high-level commands, setting priorities, then letting the swarm handle the dirty work. This isn't remote control. It's delegated lethality. And it means that a single F-47 sortie can shut down an entire enemy air grid without firing a single shot itself. But when it does fire, you're looking at modular weapons bays loaded with next-gen ordnance, hypersonic air-to-air missiles, AI-guided micromunitions, EMP warheads designed to fry electronics without collateral damage, even kinetic kill systems that strike with sheer velocity, no explosives required. And every shot is guided by a sensor suite unlike anything in the sky. Quantum positioning systems that don't rely on GPS, meaning they can't be jammed. Broadband satellite uplinks hardened against electronic warfare. Real-time environmental modeling to calculate atmospheric variables during weapons release. The jet doesn't just know where it is. It knows where it will be. And so does every drone flying with it. That's what makes this different. Not just the power, but the precision. Everything about the F-47 is tuned for asymmetry. One jet, coordinating 1,000 machines, striking 10,000 targets in ways no conventional air force can anticipate or defend against. This is an air dominance. It's air supremacy on autopilot. But the genius of the F-47 isn't just in the sky. It's in the hangar. Because most cutting-edge systems suffer from one fatal flaw. Complexity. The more advanced the aircraft, the harder it is to maintain. Not here. The F-47 diagnoses itself. AI-integrated maintenance systems run continuous diagnostics. Nanotech sensors embedded in the skin detect stress fractures, material fatigue, thermal degradation before they become failures. That's how you get a 95% combat readiness rate. That's how you make sure your jets don't just exist, they fight. And it's not just readiness, it's speed. A traditional fighter might need 10 to 12 hours of work per flight hour. The F-47 needs 3. Because it doesn't wait for mechanics to find the problems, it tells them. And the maintenance crews? They're not just turning wrenches. They're managing predictive models, watching system trends, swapping out components before they break. This is efficiency at a scale never seen before in combat aviation, and the effects ripple outward. Because the F-47 program, spanning decades, costing over $100 billion, is more than a defense project. It's a technology engine. The materials science behind the nanocomposite skin already feeding into commercial aerospace. The AI systems for autonomous drones being adapted for supply chain logistics, medical transport, and disaster relief. The energy systems and heat management protocols revolutionizing power efficiency across multiple sectors. This isn't just military investment. It's national investment. It's economic gravity, pulling innovation forward, dragging entire industries into the future. But make no mistake, the F-47 exists for a reason, and that reason is deterrence. Because there are storm clouds gathering over the Pacific. Because anti-access, area denial bubbles are growing sharper in the east. Because Russia continues to test borders, and China continues to test patience. And the only thing that stops aggression, real aggression, is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of losing before the fight even begins. And that's what the F-47 delivers. It doesn't just scare enemy pilots. It terrifies enemy planners. Because how do you prepare for a jet that can't be tracked? A jet that sees everything and hides from everything? A jet that brings an army of thinking drones with it every time it enters the sky? There's no doctrine for that. No countermeasure that doesn't require rewriting your entire air defense strategy from scratch. And that's the point. The F-47 isn't designed to fight wars. It's designed to prevent them by making the cost of confrontation so impossibly high that no rational adversary ever pulls the trigger. That's peace through strength. That's air dominance without dogfights. And that's what the United States just revealed to the world. Not by accident, but by intention. Because yes, General Alvin's social media slip started the fire. But the details that followed, the full reveal, the strategic briefings, the targeted disclosures, that wasn't damage control. That was message control. The message? We are decades ahead. We are untouchable in the air. And if you come for us, if you push us, if you think the skies are yours, think again. Because the next time you see something on radar, it won't be a fighter jet. It'll be the future. And it'll be too late. You built fighters to win wars. But this was built to prevent them. That's the irony that no one dares say out loud. Not in briefings, not in public, not in interviews with defense contractors or op-eds in security journals. The F-47 wasn't made to kill. It was made in the need for killing. Because when one machine holds this much power, this much reach, this much vision, this much intelligence, it stops being a tool. It becomes a reality check to every rising challenger, every rogue state, every general who still dreams in Cold War maps and thinks the sky is up for grabs. This is your answer. A supersonic command center with the brain of a satellite constellation and the reflexes of a predator. And no, this isn't the product of luck or marketing hype. It didn't spring from thin air or a defense industry feeding frenzy. The F-47 is the result of 2 decades of painful, methodical, and almost invisible evolution, built in silence, tested in simulations no human could endure, improved by the data from every skirmish, every breach, every flashpoint that unfolded since the global war on terror began. It is a synthesis of everything the U.S. military learned from decades of asymmetrical conflict, plus everything it feared about the wars to come. And here's the most chilling part. It's just getting started. Because the F-47 you see today, the one briefly teased in a slip from General Alvin, isn't even the final form. The modularity of this aircraft means it's designed to evolve, not with new airframes, but with new code, new algorithms, New capabilities uploaded directly to its central nervous system in hours, not months. The drone swarms? They're only going to get smarter. Right now, they follow command hierarchies. They respond to mission profiles defined pre-launch. But soon they'll predict. Imagine a scenario where one F-47 and its AI team fly into contested territory, not just reacting to enemy movement, but forecasting it, mapping electronic emissions, terrain, political movements, even weather, and calculating probabilities of conflict escalation in real time. The drones wouldn't just support the mission, they'd guide it. And the human pilot? Still in charge, still the final authority, but no longer the sole decision-maker. This is the beginning of a partnership between human judgment and machine speed, between instinct and precision, and it's a partnership the U.S. is building alone. Because while others copy, the F-47 leads. No other nation has integrated this level of autonomy into a single, unified platform. Russia still relies on traditional stealth designs, limited by budget and outdated sensor fusion. China fields fifth-gen aircraft with impressive radar cross-sections. Yes, but their drone integration? Rudimentary, decentralized, vulnerable to jamming, command delays, and political micromanagement. Only the United States has tied it all together. Speed, stealth autonomy, swarm logic, global comms, and combat adaptability into one deployable system. And that system is already shaping global posture. NATO allies are rethinking procurement strategies, asking, should we build more fifth-gens, or should we invest in interoperability with this? Australia is considering joint drone program expansions just to mirror the F-47 swarm capacity. Japan is requesting closer integration with the satellite net that powers this fighter's brain. And adversaries? They're scrambling, trying to map where it's stationed, trying to track test flights, trying and failing to replicate the software backbone that makes this platform tick. Because that's the secret. It's not the airframe. It's the network. The F-47 doesn't just fly. It connects in real time, globally, seamlessly, to sensors in orbit, to subsurface acoustic buoys, to reconnaissance drones flying over continents, to satellite clusters measuring the ionosphere for electronic anomalies. It is not one fighter in the sky. It is the sky, a sentient extension of American will. And that's what's freaking everyone out. Because this isn't just a military breakthrough. It's a strategic transformation. It shifts the global calculus from counting jets and ships to asking, who controls the battlefield before the battle begins? The answer now? The United States. Every time this jet takes off, every time a drone responds to its signal, every time its AI maps a threat environment and eliminates a target before it becomes a problem, the world moves one step further away from parity. And that imbalance? It's the deterrent. But don't be mistaken, imbalance is fragile. It must be maintained, upgraded, hardened. That's why the F-47 isn't the end. It's the launch point. Behind it, programs are already underway. Classified developments in drone swarm miniaturization, satellite-based AI relays, energy-based weapons that will one day fit inside a drone's wingspan. The F-47 is designed to carry these technologies into tomorrow's battlespace, not to die in glory like the fighters of the last century, but to adapt, to survive. And while other nations try to catch up, America will already be moving on, because the F-47 isn't just about today's air supremacy. It's about owning the initiative, permanently. And in war, initiative is everything. It lets you strike first or never need to strike at all. It lets you shut down airspace without lifting a finger. It lets you dictate terms before the world even knows a fight is coming. That's the real power here. The F-47 isn't for the war we see coming. It's for the war no one wants to fight. The war that could tip the balance of civilization. And by simply existing, by flying above conflict zones, by casting its digital shadow over hostile radar sites, by letting its swarm drift silently over critical targets, it renders that war less likely. Because no sane enemy initiates what they know they cannot survive. That's not just air dominance. That's peace. Hard-earned, expensive, terrifying peace. but peace nonetheless. So here we are, $100 billion later. 2 decades of trial, error, simulation, and silence. And what did we build? Not just a jet, not just a swarm, not just a weapon. We built the future, and it flies. You feel it before you hear it. A low vibration in the sky, too subtle to track, too perfect to ignore. The hum of the future. The F-47 doesn't roar like its predecessors. It whispers to the atmosphere, ghost-like, the sound of displacement rather than combustion, because it wasn't built for fanfare. It was built for presence, the kind that makes adversaries pause, makes commanders hesitate, makes air defense networks blink and double-check their screens. That hum is power. That silence is dominance. And while most of the world still thinks in terms of squadrons, sorties, and radar signatures, the F-47 is playing an entirely different game, a higher level, a reality where terrain, speed, and visibility don't matter unless you control the network. Because this aircraft doesn't just fly in contested airspace, it creates contested airspace. Wherever it appears, the rules change. No-fly zones aren't declared, they're assumed. And adversaries don't launch in response. They retreat, recalibrate, reconsider. You can't bluff against something this precise. You can't posture when the playing field is this skewed. And if you try to call its bluff, you'll be outmaneuvered, outgunned, outclassed before you even know where the fight started. That's the brutal, beautiful logic behind the F-47's design. It's not an escalation weapon. It's an inhibition weapon. It's what keeps the sparks from flying when borders grow tense, when sea lanes get crowded, when rival states grow bold and unpredictable. It's the presence that speaks louder than any threat. Because what do you do when your radar suddenly goes blind for 2 minutes? When your signals get jammed without any detectable source? When your own air patrols lose GPS lock and return confused and disoriented? What you don't do is escalate. What you don't do is test your luck against an enemy who already knows where your command posts are, what frequencies you're using, and how your intercept routines behave under pressure. You back off. You sit down. You think. And that moment of hesitation, that's the real mission. The F-47 doesn't need to destroy your air defenses. It just needs you to question them. Because wars aren't won in the skies anymore. They're won in decisions made 5 steps earlier. In those tense boardrooms where generals whisper about possibilities, casualties, and capabilities they don't fully understand. The F-47's greatest strength is its ability to bend those decisions before the first missile ever launches. Its strategic influence made manifest, flying at Mach 2.5, unseen and unchallenged. And it's forcing every military planner on Earth to reevaluate. Because if one aircraft can project this much presence, what happens when there are 50? 100? What happens when those AI drone swarms are permanently airborne, cycling in shifts, mapping the electromagnetic landscape of half a continent? What happens when the sky is no longer neutral, but occupied? And the occupier doesn't need permission to fly, doesn't need carriers, doesn't need human pilots watching every feed. It just needs data. That's where the real shift is happening. The F-47 is powered by engines, yes, but it's driven by information, real-time atmospheric modeling, predictive analytics, machine learning trained on decades of combat data, environmental telemetry, satellite overlays, behavioral modeling of enemy forces down to individual units. This isn't just war fighting, it's forecasting. The fighter thinks in probabilities, paths outcomes. It doesn't wait for danger. It sees the trends and gets there first. That's how you achieve supremacy without a single dogfight. That's how you end wars before they begin. And it's why this aircraft, unveiled through a single slip, has become a global inflection point. Because every nation that spent the last 30 years building out stealth jets, ballistic missile batteries, layered air defense networks, suddenly realizes they've been aiming at the wrong target. Their arsenals were designed for a different war, against a different kind of enemy. But the enemy has changed. It no longer approaches in waves. It no longer follows flight paths. It doesn't even need to enter your airspace to dominate it. It can strike from 1,000 kilometers away. It can jam your comms from above the stratosphere. It can seed your airspace with undetectable drones that mimic civilian traffic until they don't. And when the real attack comes, it's already too late, because the F-47 has already mapped your defenses. It knows the frequency of your radar sweeps. It knows the thermal signature of your hidden airfields. It knows when you'll respond and how fast, and what your fallback strategy will be. That's not science fiction. That's now. And while critics will scream about cost, about risk, about what happens when machines think too fast, the hard truth is this evolution was inevitable because the world didn't slow down after the Cold War ended. It accelerated, and so did the threats.